What's going on, everyone? I'm Chris Baker.
And I'm Ty Backer.
Welcome to episode 154 of Behind the Tool Belt with TC Backer Construction.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. TC Backer.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by Lead Scout. Find out more at leadscoutapp.com.
TC Backer.
Still working through it.
Yeah. TC Backer family, what is going on? Hopefully you guys can hear me. We are having some audio difficulties right now. Hopefully
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Ryan,
you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I can hear you. So listen, we're just going to roll with it. Maybe you guys didn't even notice anything when we just are imagining things.
Maybe.
That audio definitely went out in our ears though.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is Wednesday. Yeah, I can hear. I'm good, man. I'm good. It is Wednesday. It is episode 154.
Whoa.
Again. Anyone that's been following us here these past couple weeks knows how we feel about these 150s, man. I feel like we can't get out of them. But it's Wednesday. We got an amazing guest here. Hopefully everyone's feeling good. Chris the plumber, we're freezing here, so you need to get here and put some heat in this thing. We've been bitching about this for like 2 years now. So
yes, Chris,
my fingers are cold right now.
Yes, I'm freezing.
We got Ryan, the founder of SumoQuote, on our podcast right now, which is pretty epic.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Vic, I was like, man, it's like we keep getting all these big headline people, and it's like it's crazy. It's crazy to me that we have all these people that want to be on our podcast, and like we're just some knucklehead roofers that tried to sell gazebos one day, and like shit just kind of stuck. And now we got the founder of SumoQuote.
Yes.
Like wanting to actually give us an hour of his free time.
Yeah, right.
It's awesome. It's cool, man.
Yeah. So having said that, so it's an honor and a pleasure for you to cut a piece of your time out of your life to want to sit in on the show. And we look at you as the OG of the estimating software, and that, being in that space in our industry, that's a pretty big deal. And so before I start hammering you with some questions here, why don't you, explain to our viewers, like, what is SumoQuote?
Sure, absolutely. And I mean, I appreciate Chris saying that it was epic that I was here, because I mean, and you guys probably know this, maybe not. My roofing company that my partners and I own up in Canada is called Epic Roofing I
didn't know that, dude.
Me neither.
Oh yeah, no, we're probably 170 employees on that side of things. So that's the side I come from, and that I ran sales for a year. But for us, it was all about trying to figure out, how do we stand out from our competition? We were fortunate to kind of grow to be the largest in our province for residential roofers. And we were trying to figure out, how do we compete against everybody else? But we've got way more overhead, and we need to make sure that we're competitive in the market still. And so we created this tool called SumoQuote. Builds these beautiful proposals, all sorts of features in them, sales features and stuff like that, integrate with all sorts of awesome partners out there, Job Nimbus, Company Cam, Eagle View, Roof Scope, QuickBooks, just sort of the whole thing. So it But yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, SumoQuote just helps contractors sell more and sell at higher margins and make life easier.
Right on. So basically,
Nice.
it's a really cool proposal making platform for contractors. And I know for us, especially early on, one of the things that we struggled with was having a nice presentation. And I've seen your guys' presentation before, and it's super nice. Now we have kind of sort of developed our own. That's why we haven't used it. But if we would go to a bolt-on type of estimating software, we would definitely use SumoQuote. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people that use it, and some of the people that work for us came from companies that actually used it as well, and has tried to twist our arm to use it. But it's like it's just one more thing that we got to train, right? Like we already have processes in place, and then to try to get everyone to conform to something new again, it's. I think that's probably been my biggest fear, and that's why we haven't pulled the trigger on it. But I guess so. Other than being like an estimating software, like what else is that? What it is in a nutshell?
That's what it is in a nutshell. But I was going to say, Ty, the one thing that I might be able to twist your arm on in the future here is we're launching solar sales presentations and tools as well. And so we should be the only tool out there that can do roofing, a project-based sale, or solar, a utilities versus financing, production consumption, like offset all of the craziness that solar sales is, and actually blend it into a roofing and solar tool as well. So just give us about another month here. We're going to beta in January, and then we'll be live beginning of February. But I might be able to twist your arm on that one in about a month and a half from now.
Okay,
Ryan
okay.
from the top ropes.
Yeah,
Got
clothesline my ass. Okay, well, how let me throw this curveball at you, and I want you to answer this honestly.
No.
Do you? No, it's not going to be that bad. We're gonna keep it eggshell white today.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That's what
Yeah.
we agreed on.
So no, this is more of a professional question that pertains to SumoQuote. Do you ever see it becoming more than just an estimating software for the roofing and solar space? Do you see it turning more into a CRM at some point in time?
We look at SumoQuote as like the very first thing that we thought of or considered when we were building it was actually the homeowner, not the contractor. Like we want to figure out and crack that nut of how do we really impact the homeowner in the equation. And we think we're still, even though we're, OG, as you said earlier, which I loved, like,
Yeah.
we still feel like we're hardly scratching the surface there. And where that buying experience with the homeowner is going, there's just miles and miles of space there still. So we're not really looking at becoming a CRM at the end of the day. We'd rather integrate with great partners there, let them be experts at that stuff. And we're just going to keep driving deep down that side of a really dynamic sales experience and make it really easy for contractors to create for homeowners there. So that's our space in the industry, we think.
That's fantastic. So I got another question for you that I thought of actually earlier today was about with you being in the space that you're in, and I'm going to consider it, I guess, the tech/e-commerce, right? Would that be correct? Okay. So in about 3 to 5 years, where do you see the roofing industry as far as like e-commerce goes?
You know what? I just look at buying experiences in general, right? So you look at your interactions with all sorts of other products and services out there. So the examples I typically give are like, I don't know, I'm from Canada, our banking system's different, but I look at my bank and I'm like, I can't remember the last time I was in a bank. Why would I go there? I can run everything through the app on my phone. If somebody sends me a paper check, I just take a picture of it and deposit straight in my account, right? Or groceries. I got 3 young boys at home, like little terrorists there. There's no way I am spending an hour in the grocery store with these 3 little terrorists.
I've seen a race terrorist too.
Right? Like I can just order it online and have them walk it out to my vehicle or deliver it to my house. Like every other industry are creating these enhanced buying experiences, and construction seems so far behind that. So I think you will see, like, the kitchen table is a phenomenal place to sell. I think you're going to see people starting to offer homeowners kitchen table or virtual. And I think the closing rates with the tools that are out there in the virtual environment I think there's a lot more that can be done there that's very interesting. I'm not trying to say people need to push 100% that way by any means, but there's some really interesting stuff going on there. And I think it's going to head more in these other types of directions, or you got to have it in your tool belt at least. Pardon the pun there. So,
Yeah.
Let me ask your opinion on something here. And this is just going to be an opinion based thing because I don't think there's really any fact behind it. But do you think that I'd say over the past like 12 to 18 months push of more technological based applications in our industry, do you think that has to do with, the pandemic? And do you think if that hadn't happened, are we still in the same space that we were, 24 months ago, that we're not really even talking about this kind of stuff, that wouldn't even really be an applicable thing that we would think is going that direction?
you know what? I mean, yeah, it makes it so, yes, I think the pandemic accelerated it. But like, I'll give an example from our roofing company. And I always throw some caveats in here because I'm going to give you some crazy numbers on stuff.
Right.
We had a really big hailstorm in 2020 and another one in 2021. So we had back-to-back big storms. We also run we've got some good processes with our roofing company. But we had 2 sales guys last year, each sell over $8 million of residential projects. No multifamily, nothing over 70,000. One of those guys moved during this last winter out off to some island off the west coast of Canada. And I was just like, you guys, you can't lose them. We can accommodate this and make it work. This year so far, he's sold over $4.5 million sitting in an office on an island off the coast. Like, so it can absolutely be done. And there's a lot more processes that goes in behind it, but tools like SumoQuote makes it pretty easy to stand out and create these virtual experiences as well. Like, so yeah, it can be done. I'm seeing that stuff being done right now.
Yeah. I hear a lot
awesome.
of that, and I've heard that for quite a while, especially during the pandemic, but even prior to the pandemic, I heard of a local gentleman. We're up here in the Northeast, up in Pennsylvania, but like a local gentleman, not maybe necessarily within 100 miles, but like Southern Maryland, from where we're at, approached me about this is what he was doing probably about 4 years ago, pre-pandemic. And I thought, I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, it sounds really cool that I could just sit at my desk all day long, but he was offering, like, I guess he's selling roofs and like selling them to us. And I don't even know if like that's a thing or not. And how, like, I couldn't get my head wrapped around it at the time. If it made sense, or how many leads or whatever. I guess it wasn't even necessarily leads, but he was just trying to find out if we would be interested, and if he would sell the roofs, I guess if we would do them, maybe is what, but he was doing it all virtually, online, however he was doing it.
Well,
we did a job for him, didn't we? Didn't we do something in Dover here? We got like a random address and did a roof replacement on. Is that the one that I'm thinking of?
It might have been. Yeah, we could have.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I think it's critical that before you give a quote, you get to the property, you inspect the property, you got photos of the property, like you understand what you're getting yourself into. So he's got, somebody that can get out there and do that stuff. But once you've got those photos, those measurements and everything else, man, you can create some pretty enhanced like virtual sales experiences as you go through it. And at the homeowner's convenience, they can sit in their office in the middle of the afternoon and not have to get home from work early, have the kids screaming, be sitting there while you're trying to have dinner, going and everything else. So it can absolutely work. But again, a tool in the toolkit. I'm not saying that people need to just try and run that direction 100%.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that you have to get eyes on a roof. And I think that's been one of our niches up here is that we hear a lot of homeowners say, you're the first one that got on my roof, let alone get in our attic space, because we like to check for proper, insulation, ventilation, intake, exhaust, and all those things, and try to correct the issue before we even put the roof on. If their attic fan, their bathroom fan or their kitchen fan is venting into the attic space, that's no bueno, right? So we try to repair all those things, vent it outside somehow, and not just into the soffit area, because that's not even code anymore. We used to be able to just put, a dryer vent into the soffit area as long as it was vented. But now that, I guess it's created issues, fire hazards and lint and stuff like that, backing up into your vented soffit area and then clogging, essentially
clogging the
clogging
baffle.
the
Intake.
the intake there. So we can't even do that anymore. But getting it outside, with the proper type of vent, whether through the roof or out through the soffit using a soffit vent. So we try to correct that, but we've more homeowners than not. And like you said, you were trying to find what value can we add and offer, to our homeowners that nobody else is, because like you said, we have overhead. I don't think our overhead's quite as much as 172 employees, but we still always look for that value. What value can we give if we are a little more expensive? Okay, so we don't have to correct all of these issues for you. We can always just come out and just put the roof on. Is that what you want? Or you know what I'm saying? You're driving. What is Agatha Hall says? You got a Tesla in the driveway, but you want to put a Pinto on your roof.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Aggie's the best. She's awesome. So yeah, big fan as well.
Yeah, she is cool. She is cool. She's a cool chick.
Godmother.
So where are you right now? Give us. You started to tell us that you're down there outside of Austin, Texas.
Yeah, just in between Austin and San Antonio. So Jim Johnson, good friend, he's got an event going on here down right now. So we're just down here supporting him and stuff. So I squeaked out of the event for an hour here because this was great. I was looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what event is Jim hosting down there?
So he does a once a year sort of prep for the coming year. He calls it mission control, but it's essentially getting a blueprint together for your business for your coming year, so that you're functioning off of a plan and not just going into a year winging it and hoping it's going to turn out well. So he does a lot of coaching around that stuff and does a really good job with it.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of our, we do a lot of new construction up here, man. And a lot of our big builders that we do work for, some of the national builders, they have, I always call them like the State of the Union meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like once a year, here's our projections. This is what we're looking at. This is what the market looks like.
Yeah.
We're, digging ground out here, so you can expect this in year 2 and, all that kind of stuff. So it's a great idea. And I always loved going to those things and seeing, what we have to look forward to and, what kind of grind we're going to have. And it always seems to be a little bit more too. So that's always beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good too, because I remember early on in business, of course I had goals of what I thought the next year was going to look like. It's like, we always wanted to grow, but it's like to actually go someplace and get a roadmap, and listen to what other people have done. I have found it for myself personally to be very beneficial to surround myself with other people in our industry that has already done it or in the process of doing it. And we were kind of touching on that a little bit before we got live here, where I had joined, Revolt to try to, one is the accountability of somebody holding me accountable to, and Hunter's big thing too. He's on my butt. First and foremost, it was about to get married because I had mentioned to him that I've been with Jana for 12 years and that everybody thought that we were married, and we were at this couples retreat. And prior to that, he would just randomly shoot me a message like, "Hey, so did you ask her yet?" And of course, and I've shared this story a couple of times. And I'm like, I wanted to like just rip him a new one, right? Like, dude, get off my back. You know what I mean? I got bigger fish to fry here, bro. Right. Yeah. And
girl ain't going nowhere.
Right. And one of Hunter's biggest things is legacy, right? And I'm all about legacy. Like I'm all in on legacy. And so this went on for probably 6 months where he's just riding my butt, right? And we get down to, I think it's Puerto Rico or wherever the hell we were for the couples retreat. And so he's got me cornered now. So we're face to face, no more messaging back and forth. And he's like, "So are you going to do it?" And I was like, "No, get off my back, bro." Like, and I'm getting irritated now. Other people are overhearing him say these things to me. So now I got 3 or 4 other dudes riding my ass. Right. And at one point in time, Hunter actually went and bought a ring for Jana for me to give to her. He went, how they got jewelry stores down there? I don't know if I've ever shared this part of it or not. Hunter went and bought a ring and is like opening it in front of, like, back behind Jana's back when I'm looking at him. And he's doing one of these. And I swear to God, like, I wanted to fly home. My head hurt so bad. Like, the pressure was so immense. Well, it occurred to me, okay, I was thinking about it, and what pushed me, I'll be honest with you, Dylan Mullins, no, and some other guys were riding my butt about it. Anyhow, I said yes. RD Saunders was there. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but he's like John Maxwell's right hand man.
Sweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know him, but yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Great guy, right? So we're doing this couples. RD's up on stage because it's a retreat, so you got to do some spiritual shit while you're at these retreats and sessions and stuff like that. So we're all sitting in this auditorium where it's actually an amphitheater, and so they had the women go in one room and the men were in another room, and they split us up into groups. And so we had to get up on stage, and they're asking us questions and having us answer these questions on like, how would your significant other answer this question? Right. So we were answering these questions. And the one question that came up is something about being married. Crap. And I can't remember what it was. And I was like, it's complicated. And everybody just laughed. Right. So then we go and sit down. The ladies come in and they ask Jana the same exact question, and she answered it the same exact way that I did, that it's complicated. Right. And because we know each other, like we nailed every single question better than people that have been married for however long, but it was just so funny. But so they came up to us because everybody thought we were married, and not to be long-winded here, was like, we thought you guys were married. You know, we're like, no, well, and why? Like they were so interested in like, why? Like you've been together forever. Why haven't you gotten married? Well, she had been married. I've been in a bunch of just horrible relationships. I've watched my parents' relationship. My brother's been married 4 times. Like it's just from when I grew up, I just didn't see it panning out. Right. Like I didn't have that when I grew up, where it was like, that's what you did the old school way. Like you get married, you stay with them for 65 years and you both die. Like I didn't have that in my life as a kid growing up. Okay. Right. I had dysfunctional stuff going on. Okay. And that's the sugar coated version of the stuff that went on in my youth. And, so he's the one that married us. He married us on the beach, and man, I can't remember where the hell we were. No, it wasn't Puerto Rico. Punta Cana. Yeah, that's right. We were in Punta Cana. Sorry. Anyhow, so we got married. We got married in Punta Cana, and
amazing.
It was Hunter. The moral of the story is that he had the balls enough, not that nobody else does, but he had the balls to hold me accountable, and that was probably one of the greatest rewards, not just for myself, but for my family, right? For someone else to hold me accountable to get married, because like I said earlier, like I'm all in on this legacy thing, but probably the biggest part of legacy was for me having that aha moment is that I wasn't married. Mm-hmm. Right. So if I die today, 6 months from now, everybody's going to forget about Jana. And I talk about this quite often because this has been such an impactful moment in my life, was being married. Right. Like I've never been married. I'm 46 years old and I've never been married. Right. And if I would have gotten married at a young age, I would have been divorced 4 or 5 times by now. Right. So that God had a plan for me. Yeah. Okay. For to not get married. But anyhow,
Hunter was bugging you because he cares. Right. Yes. Like, where it comes from. So even though it was annoying and everything else, like you knew ultimately it was there and he was bugging you and saying that stuff, because at the end of the day, he was encouraging you towards the best that he thought was available for you, which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So that was because you asked me one of the reasons why I joined the Revolt group, and that was that's why I'm staying for sure, was the accountability, the part of legacy and the things that he's trying to build, and to be around somebody that's highly driven like that and doesn't think small, because I'm not a small thinker, and it's tough to find people. A lot of people probably think I'm crazy, but he doesn't. Right. Yeah. It's just nice to be around people that are like-minded like that. So anyhow, why are you where you're at today?
Oh man, that is an intro.
Yeah. I'm done taking the show hostage here. You talk some.
You know what? I always wanted to build something. Ever since I was young, I thought I could build something in business, and I took some big swings, man. Like So, I mean, I was on the tools back in the day, 2003, 2004. I spent about a year and a half shingling. So, know that side of the business. Took a crack at some other things. Eventually went and did an MBA because I thought that was going to sort of guide me in a direction I wanted to go. But coming out of that, actually, what I did was I bought a denim line, a blue jeans company.
Oh, yeah.
And ran that, and it was great. I mean, dude, we were in InStyle magazine, and Vogue was pulling samples from us for photo shoots. And if you remember a musician named Mattis Yahoo, he was wearing our stuff on the Jay Leno show when he was performing and all this stuff. But
Wow.
hard business, sold it, just escaped, like basically got my money out of it again. So great experience, hard business. But I mean, that was taking a swing for the fences kind of thing. And then this roofing company that I was getting married, needed to get a little more stable than this thing. And this roofing company that I had worked for, a decade prior, all of a sudden they were there again, and they had grown to 80 employees. So I hopped in there. It was some good friends running it and stuff, bought into the company. And then really this SumoQuote thing, I needed a few years of where it was easier, where I wasn't trying to create a business and invent it from scratch and everything else with the roofing company, and just was able to gain some great experience there. But SumoQuote, it's this thing that it's kind of been this life, I don't know if dream is the right word, but this life experience that I've been looking for, where I've gotten to create something out of nothing. And the fact that people actually know about it and love it is awesome. Like, this is the most encouraging, most fun I've had in my career. This kind of feels like the stuff that I was meant to be doing, with that stuff you feel as a kid.
Mhm.
And you take how many big swings for the fences and everything else, and you think, man, it's just not going to work out, and I just got to get something stable and make sure I've got a good pension or whatever it is. And so this kind of felt like my last big swing at something, and just kind of feeling lucky that it's worked out as it has so far. So that's a
awesome.
bunch of it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So you mentioned that you've taken a lot of big swings in your life at things. How many of them swings missed?
Oh man, 3 of 4, something like that. Like, and
What made
nothing.
you swing again?
Pardon?
What made you swing again? What keeps you at the plate swinging?
You can't not. Like, you're just built in such a way, it's that you can't not have your mind wandering down this path. Like, I remember I was going, like, we built a tool kind of like SumoQuote that made these really beautiful proposals that helped our company stand out and everything, for our roofing company, and our closing rates went up by 63%. Like, it was unbelievable, the impact. It was millions of dollars of growth that our roofing company saw just from that, right?
Mhm.
And I went to my partners. I was like, you guys, I think we're on to something here. Like, I think could do really well if we built it for other contractors. And they were like, huh, interesting. No. And I'm like, you sure, you guys? Like, I think this could be good. They're like, yeah, we don't do tech. We're not interested. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go build it on my own then. In my spare time, I'll figure out a way to do it. I'll figure out some developers, whatever it is. Spent about a year and let them know about 3 or 4 times, hey, doing this on the side still, looking for developers, trying to see if I can find partners. And at one point, I was getting close to having it lined up, and I went back to them and said, look, you guys, I want you to sign off on something saying you have no rights to this, because you don't, like, legally. I didn't have to do that, but great partners. So I went to them and said that, and they were like, wait a minute, I thought we were doing this together. And I'm like, well, I'm open to that, but let's talk about it. So they came on board, they funded everything. Like, it really was the absolute ideal that I did it with them. But no, my brain just couldn't shut off. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. There was just that thing in the back of your mind where you see something that you think could really work well. And so you get to be a bit of a dog on a bone chasing it. And so I don't know, it's just how I'm made, right? We're each kind of wired uniquely, and that's how I'm made. Is I just can't let something like that go if I feel like I can see it and it's a good opportunity. So you just keep
Awesome.
going.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now that's a great, I can relate to that a lot. Now, going back to, prior to our conversation here is what I meant is like, why are you in Texas right now?
Oh,
Like, Yeah, no, and I'm glad. I'm really grateful that you shared that experience with us. That where SumoQuote came from and how it was built, and then your partners came aboard and helped, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's who we surround ourselves is what makes us a great company, right? So whether it was a financial help or whether it was just because they were smart at what they did and helped innovate that idea that you had, but you were the visionary and they were probably the engine behind it that helped perform the miracle that you guys have performed today with SumoQuote, because I never heard anything bad about SumoQuote. And when I mean OG, I mean you guys are definitely the original gangsters when it comes to the estimating software system. And I've seen them. I've seen the quotes, and they're top notch. But what I was leading to is like, tell us why. Like, what are you trying to get out of what you're doing where you're at today? Why are you where you're at today? Why are you in Texas today? What are you trying to gain from it?
You know what? I'm trying to not be on the road as much. I was just at an event in Phoenix right before this at Best of Success. And that's one that Jill Bloom is really sort of the driving force behind. And then Jim's event was right after it here in Texas. And there's certain individuals that I respect immensely. I will always look to support them whenever I can. Those were two of them. But in Texas here, so even though I'm trying to not be on the road quite as much, last year I was chatting with my wife and I was just like, and she's been along for the ride with this stuff in a bunch of my adventures and whatever else. And I looked at her and I was just like, you know what? The residential roofing industry here, like, I can't imagine knowing an industry better in my life than this. Like, I've been in denim fashion, right? I've been in construction, now technology and everything else. And I'm just like, I can't imagine knowing an industry better than this. I love being out on the road and connecting with contractors and being able to talk shop just on business and life, because we've still got the roofing business. We're still running it. We still feel, the good times and the hard times and everything else. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it. I love connecting with contractors whenever I get a chance to. So connecting with contractors and then connecting and supporting friends, that's why I'm on the road today.
Okay.
Awesome.
So you didn't have a personal agenda by going to Jim's thing down in Texas? Like, you weren't, other than rubbing elbows with other contractors and people in our industry, was there something that you felt like your life was missing that you thought maybe you could get while you were down there, that you could hear something or gain something out of it?
You know what? We're a sponsor of the event, so I could have had somebody else from the team come down and be a part of it. Jim and I will dig in when Jim and I just get to sit down personally. Like, there's a lot of talk on values and vision and meaning and a lot of this stuff. So we dig in pretty heavily on that stuff. Got to listen to Reggie Brock this morning. He's always great for that stuff as well as a part of it. But no, the main part I was here was to support, Jim and team. We were a sponsor, so we wanted to have somebody here, and I just thought this would be a great one. But I get to glean like wisdom and insights in all sorts of ways, right? Like, Ty, even listening to you and your experience with Hunter and Revolt, and like there's encouragement, there's reinforcement from that. Like, there's stuff that I need to keep taking to heart and making sure that I hear and apply and listen to. And we get to grow from each other with this stuff. And that's, I think, why you like connecting with Revolt as well, is there's that camaraderie of being able to connect with other people. And so I just genuinely get to enjoy doing that sort of wherever I am. But at an event that Jim runs, you get a little extra dose of that, it feels like, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That little extra dose that there's something missing, but that void gets filled when you're on the flight back home. You just feel revived and refreshed because you got to camaraderie and fellowship with your peers in the industry. And of course, you being there, I'm sure, was a huge compliment to the conference itself and supporting the conference.
Yeah. Not just sending a team member or something like that. That the actual founder of SumoQuote is here supporting this event. That speaks a lot too.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Oh, it's fun, man. Like I said, these are my people. Like, I cannot imagine knowing an industry better than what I know this. And I just genuinely have a big heart for the industry. I think it's awesome. It's such a good industry we're all in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is, man. It's great. And I mean, we talk about it on here all the time. The vehicle that, this industry has provided to do the things that, we're doing as a company, that I know, the direction that we're heading right now as a company, and like the exponential growth, and, the team that we're building, that we have built, that, I can't imagine, I'm sitting right here with you, man. Like, I can't imagine having to start fresh in another field. Um, uh, just to kind of tell a little bit of story insight on myself. I had an injury, actually working construction back in 2016. I had spine fusion surgery.
Oh, wow.
I was actually told I was never going to be able to be in construction again. You know what I mean? And up until that point, I'm 30 years old. I never did anything other than this. Like, I worked construction. I did a couple sales jobs and stuff, but like, construction was my thing. Like, I like to work with my hands. I like building shit. I liked roofing. Like, it's just what I did. And, to be told at 30 years old, like, yo, man, you got to figure something else out. You're not going to be able to do this no more. Like, I was lost, man. I went through a major stint of depression. Like, I didn't know where my spot in life was anymore. You know what I mean? And here I am, 30 with 2 kids at that time. Like, how am I at this point in my life now? You know what I mean? I got to provide for a family, and I don't even know where my fucking spot is anymore. But I ended up actually going back to college, getting my accounting degree, just because I was good with numbers, and it just seemed like something good to do, but had zero interest in doing it. Like, I really didn't want to do it. But, long story short, ended up finding Ty through a accounting application. Came here to run some books, and just found my spot, dude. And I can't imagine having to go through that again, or being put in the position that I have to start over. Like, this is where I belong. This is where Ty belongs. This is where all the people that I work with belong. You can tell the passion, and like, I love the vehicle that I've been allowed to ride in, to meet the people that I've been able to meet over the past 5 years of my life, since I came here specifically. It's just different, dude. It's just different. And there's a lot of roofing companies and construction companies out there that are not participating and giving back to the industry like we do. It stinks for them, because they're missing the boat, because this is a beautiful industry, and there's a lot of good stuff going, and there's a lot of good people in it that actually care, not just about excelling their business, or their bottom line or whatever. They actually are putting in more than they're taking out of the industry. So, it's good stuff, man.
Well, I just feel like this industry, there's a lot of good salt of the earth people. Like, it's just good humans that care about just being good, and not, throwing other industries. It seems like people get thrown under the bus all the time. It just toxic workplaces, everything else. And I just find a lot of really good salt of the earth people in the industry that I really enjoy and get along with.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. And just to circle back on what Chris was talking about, and give a big shout out to Chris, because Chris, I think one of the reasons why it'd be so hard is because Chris has been a pillar in the driving force of helping us build the culture that we have here. And it has helped us immensely in building this. And it would suck to have to try to start over with something that you've built so well here with us. And going back to like the things that our roofing industry, our company has allowed us to be able to benefit and impact, not just on a local level, right? So we try to impact our community as best as that we possibly can. And not only that, we try to take it to another level and to try to have a great impact on our industry as well. Right. And on top of it, it goes back to, right. So like, and we talk about our families a lot. So because we are a family here at TC Backer, we're a family, but we're concerned about the person, and not just the person, but their family. Right. So that has been one of the biggest things that has helped our culture is that we actually care about each other as much as we do our loved ones, because without our loved ones, being our biggest fans and rooting us on, like really at the end of the day, this is why we put in the long hours that we do. So we're here to be able to provide a good living for our people so they can take care of their family. Right. So Christmas is right around the corner, and, I'm scrambling around to try to do what it is that I got to do. And my biggest concern right now is to make sure that our people can take care of each other and take care of their families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger that you get, there's a lot more mouths that need to be fed. And I had a conversation with a gentleman tonight that, and this might sound a little relentless, but I really don't care. But, there's a lot at stake here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that depend on us, from distribution to our subcontractors to our, to our coworkers and their families, right? And unfortunately, if someone's in our wake, I can't be concerned about them, right? I got to be concerned about those that are under this roof. I got to worry about our distribution. I got to worry about our subcontractors, and I got to worry about our family. Right. And unfortunately, because I was like, you got to be this nicey nice guy. And it's like, and I get that all ships rise, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And if any local roofer called me and had any questions or concerns, and I've helped and mentored a lot of local roofers, and where we're at, we're not just local. Okay. We cover the whole mid-Atlantic region. So when I'm speaking in terms of, there's a lot at stake here, right? And we cover about 6 different states. That's what I'm talking about. Our competition's 2 or 3 states away, not necessarily in my face or local. Right. So I'm not speaking to any local people, but right now with the economy, and this is something hopefully will be a segue into a whole nother conversation right now. But with this is my 3rd recession, and anyone that has been around me over the past 3 or 4 years will know that I've been talking about recession for 3 years. Like, I've known this was coming, and we've prepared ourselves, and financially we're in a great position. And a lot of companies probably aren't. And we're in a position to be able to monopolize on that, right? Where when the transfer of wealth happens, we want to be on the better end of that stick, because back in 08, we were kind of in the middle of the road. I wasn't able to take advantage of it. And I've watched other industries, other people in industries be able to monopolize, whether it be real estate or whatever. I've watched that transfer of wealth, and I've watched people get very wealthy in times like this. And I've watched people lose their ass, lose their businesses, lose their homes and their vehicles and stuff too. Fortunately, I was, like I said, I was in the middle of the road, but this time we've prepared ourselves for that. And unfortunately, that's what I mean by, like, if anyone is in that wake of us coming through, because we're fucking coming at it right now. We're coming full steam ahead. Yep. And it's like I told Jana the other day, it's like a stiff blow. We're like a stiff blow coming at you like a freaking freight train right now, because I'm ready, and I've never felt so confident in the opportunities that a recession can present itself. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people, I think they start to clam up. I think they back off on their marketing. I think they back off on their branding, and they kind of just batten down the hatches, when right now you can actually pick up more market share of the branding and the marketing, because so many people are backing off. Now is the time to put yourself out there more than ever. So that's kind of my little ramble.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I saw somebody make a post. This was a year, 2 years ago, something like that, on Facebook, just being like, hey, what's the cool thing in 2021 or 2022, whatever it was, sort of thing. Like, what should we be doing, or what should we be focusing on? And I don't know how many likes my reply got, probably not many, but I was like, well, probably the same thing you should be focusing on every year, which would be healthy balance sheet, knowing your financials, ensuring that your business is stable and in a place where if anything happens, you can, roll with it, and like knowing that you've got an operating line or a capital line, and, knowing what your, just all the financial side of things. People don't talk about that stuff enough. And I think that's the critical stuff. Like all the stuff that you're saying, where you're not scared of recession, you're not worried about it. You've been down there before, making sure that you're set up to capitalize on all of that. It's just making sure that you know your numbers, that you're in a good, healthy place as a business. And so, I mean, that's the stuff that people should be talking about all the time. And then once you got that, then, do the extra fun stuff or whatever it is as well. But that's the critical stuff where you're nailing on there for sure.
It really is. It really is not. And a lot of people don't understand overhead. They just look at a job. They're like, okay, I know the materials cost this and the labor is going to cost that, but there's so much more that it takes to manage and operate a business. Like there's electric bills, there's fuel bills, there's there's payroll, there's workers' comp, there's general liability, there's car insurance, there's vehicles, and I mean, there's tires, there's oil changes, there's all of these things, and I think the sooner that you can learn to build all that stuff into your jobs, and I'm sure SumoQuote can, you know, as you're building it out, at least I know for our estimating stuff that we use, we build, you know, the
I'm
overhead,
sure it has overhead and all that stuff.
The overhead is built into, you know, the quote to cover all of, whether it be marketing and know what your marketing budget's going to be for the year. Like where you're at right now, what you're saying, and I keep saying where you're at right now is at Jim Johnson's thing, right? And I'm assuming that, you know, to help prepare yourself. So it's like, okay, last year we spent, you know, 2.1% went towards marketing. Or, you know, so next year we project on doing, you know, 3% of our, you know, net profit's going to go towards, you know, marketing or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, dude. And I want to circle back a little bit, Ty, because when you were talking about, you know, the importance of, you know, making sure, like, you know, what we're responsible for, you know, not only just the employees here, the subcontractors, the suppliers, you know, it got me to thinking, you know, how big of an impact, you know, large companies and Ryan, I'm sure you can attest to this. If you have, you know, Epic Roofing, you know, one of the bigger, if not the biggest that you said, in your province. So you probably have a good, hold and, you know, how can I word this? Basically, if something would happen to you and your company would close the doors, you're not just affecting your employees. You know, you're affecting the guy that drives the forklift at the supply company that no longer has, you know, 300,000 squares of shingles to move from this company. You know, people that you do business with, you know, they have to hire, you know, and I'm going to throw this out there that, you know, we got in bed with a company and had them doing some takeoffs for us on some new construction blueprints. And I think that they were very overwhelmed when they realized just how much work it was. You know, I don't think that they were prepared. You know, we've helped grow that company. I think that they had to make some hires, and you know, that's the effect that you have when you're a well-established business in an area. It's not just the people that you sign checks to and you know, you direct deposit in their bank account every Friday. You know, we're affecting multiple supply companies, multiple employees there. You know, our success, you know, directly relates to their success. So like there's a lot at stake. You know, when it comes down to it, like you said, Ty, there is just so much at stake, and it's not just here. And just the fact that you are able to acknowledge that and understand that, like that right there is why our team rides for you, bro. That right there. Thank you. Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got, like, I always find typically, and it's funny because the day is coming up right away here on Saturday, but our annual Christmas party, right? You know, the Christmas party, you know, not all of the employees can make it, but everybody can bring a +1. Like, we're going to have, I think, 250 plus people there. It's humbling to stand in that room and look around. That is a humbling experience to Ty's point of, like, these are families that depend on us, on this moving forward, and us making sure we're making responsible decisions, but, you know, also the fact that we get to grow as well and add more to that is an honor and a blessing with it as well. So it's really fun. It's very enjoyable stuff. So, yeah. And then even we've got, like with SumoQuote, there's third-party companies now that are becoming not construction companies, but that are becoming more dependent on SumoQuote, of who we are as a business and how we're connected with them as a partner and stuff like that. And it's humbling. Like so yeah, it's some big stuff, but it's fun. Like that, there's some big meaning with that for sure.
Yeah, you nailed it. It is very humbling to see that ripple effect. So if there's 250 people standing in that room, you're affecting, think about their household. So theoretically, it's at least 500 people's lives that you're affecting and impacting in a positive light.
Right. Everyone takes care of somebody.
Yeah, potentially more. And that's the ripple effect that I think Chris was touching on. And I know you get the magnitude
for sure
of that. If there's 250 people standing in that room, you're potentially affecting 750 lives total. that
Well,
are relying on you, and for us to
just
make,
immediate family.
yeah,
I was going to say that's not including our
employees.
subcontractors.
Yeah,
yes,
no,
right,
exactly.
And then our suppliers and everything else that Chris is saying, like, no,
Yes.
oh yeah, it gets overwhelming very fast.
big
Yes.
old circle that is all on your shoulders. And like, thank God you guys are driven enough and are able to handle that weight on your shoulders, because I don't have that much weight on my shoulders. And I know I get anxiety and extreme stress, because everyone goes through times and shit, and everyone has their stuff. And I know how anxious I can get sometimes if everything isn't perfect. And, everyone runs into those little wrenches that you don't really plan for, that life throws at you. And just on that magnitude of a scale, to have a wrench thrown your way, to have all that stress on, we were talking earlier about how it used to be for you not that long ago, when it came to Christmas time and stuff. And like, I can't fathom how you shut it off and go to sleep at night, having that kind of stuff running through your mind. Cause I would have 0 fingernails. I'd probably have a bald spot on my head, and I'd have an extreme drinking problem probably. So
Well,
sleep like a baby.
I will say this. I have a number of partners, and they are phenomenal. So I am in one meeting a week that just helps oversee our group of companies with the handful of my partners. And that's the time that I spend on our other companies, on our roofing companies and stuff like that. And other than that, I'm just like 100% SumoQuote. So the value of those partners, and so there's 7 of us that are partners together, which is a bit of a mind-boggling number that many people can actually get along, let alone like make decisions together and stuff like that. And it's not that we always agree 100% of the time, but I've never seen one of my partners make a decision where I thought they were doing it selfishly and not for what they thought was the best for the business, which is pretty phenomenal. Like, and so the fact that I've got those other guys there that's why it can be done. It's not because I can handle it, because I can't and I don't. It's because of the partners that I've got there as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It is good stuff. And we kind of talked about that today too, a little bit. It's like, and that takes trust, right? Like, if we can't trust people, we can't grow and we can't scale. We ourselves as the business owner or the leaders can actually become the bottleneck. It's like we want to grow, but if we're not letting go, we're not going to be able to grow. Right. And it sounds like you and your partners have been able to trust each other. And that's key. And that's huge, to be able to find the right people that are smart. Right. And then on top of which, that you can trust, right? That are going to do a good job when you're spending the other 6 days a week on SumoQuote, that you're hoping that 7th day, when you turn back around to catch up on all these other things, that it continued to keep moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
That is such a huge part of being able to, manage multiple businesses, or even just a one business on a large scale, is that, you got to surround yourself around the right people.
Yeah.
And be able to let go and have an open mind and listen to other people's opinions
And let them fail.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to let them fail.
Yeah. And Ty, I want to add to that too, man. And this reminded me when we were sitting in that meeting that we went to, I think yesterday, you made a comment. And just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory here on where this comment comes from, someone made a comment about, we don't want to teach them all the secrets. You know what I mean? We got to hold some of the secrets, you know what I mean? And Ty was like, well, cause what if they leave? You know what I mean? And Ty's like, well, I'd rather teach them all the secrets, because what if I don't and they stay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that now you got an untrained guy that, where I'm getting at is not everything always works out either. You know what I mean? So you also have to be able to let go and trust, knowing that you might get burned sometimes. That person that you invested everything in might not be that guy. And it might take you a while to figure that out, but you have to just roll with the punches and not clam up and not be like, oh, I'm never trusting again. I'm not allowing that to happen. You got to pull the next person in and keep moving down the line, because like you said, Ty, if you shell up and you don't teach them the secrets and you don't fully train them and fully invest in them and run the decentralized command, allow them to make mistakes. Yeah. What if they stay? What if they stay forever and they're just this guy that doesn't, that could have been so much more if you just would have allowed them to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. It's like, they'll sit around and wait to be told, wait to be told to do what to do.
Right.
And we say this all the time. It's like we need to show our people how to think and not what to think.
Yeah.
Right? We got to let them make mistakes, and because they're not going to learn unless they do make some
Right.
mistakes. And of course, everyone's going to make mistakes. I make mistakes on a daily basis, and I think that's one of the things too. I think everyone knows well enough that it's okay to make a mistake. If you did, what are we going to do? Like, we're always constantly looking for solutions and not like being stuck in the problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what can we do to try to avoid this next time? Or what did you learn from it?
Right.
Well,
Share your experience with me on what you learned with it.
Well, and that's one of the most enjoyable things with SumoQuote. And again, like I kind of chalk it up to dumb luck or whatever it was, but like we do focus really hard on trying to hire really smart and really good people.
Mhm.
Somebody said it well the other day. They were like, you know what, SumoQuote, it feels like working here that it's my best self interacting with other people's best self all the time. It's
Oh, yeah.
not insecure and catty or just any like it. And then that becomes really, really fun. We're growing. We're probably 30 employees now at SumoQuote. But we've only ever had 2 people quit, and we've only ever had to fire 2 people. That's it. Other than that, so we're 90 whatever percent retention. And I don't know, the caliber of people that we have, it's we're really fortunate with that. So being intentional with our hiring and making sure it's a cultural fit has been certainly a big part of creating a work environment like that.
Love it.
Yeah, dude.
Love it. That's
For real.
what the culture part of it. And we've let someone go. There was an individual a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I guess by now.
Yeah. It's been a little while.
They were good at their job, but they didn't fit the culture.
Yeah.
Right. Like it just, and what we did is we ended up giving them, a 2-week notice. Okay. In 2 weeks we're kind of done. So hopefully you can find a job within that 2 weeks. And if you need a great reference, let us know. Unfortunately, you may excel well, but here, what we're trying to accomplish here and the culture, that setting that we're trying to create, you're not a good fit.
Yeah.
We're sorry. It had nothing to do with your workability. It's just that you just don't fit with what we're trying to grow here. So we let them go. And whether, believe it or not, they found a job in 3 days, no harm, no foul. And it might sound a little unorthodox or a little weird. And that's where I went into earlier. Like, most people might think I'm crazy, but I'm not out to hurt anybody. I want to see people succeed. And sometimes that takes uncomfortable decisions, hard decisions. And that might mean letting somebody go, because I want to see 99.999% of the team succeed, and this 1% needs to go.
Well, and you sincerely hope that it gives them that little shake that they need in order just to get better at their career in the long run overall, right? It's not that you want poor for people anytime, and it's not that anybody ever enjoys letting somebody go, but sometimes they do need that little shake, and it ultimately does help them far more in the long run. And so, grateful to hear that they found it 3 days later, and hopefully they kind of caught that message, and that they take it to heart, and they take it to the next place and do a better job and keep going there.
Yeah. If you don't act that way, man, you're almost doing a disservice to them.
Yeah.
As an individual, because if they don't fit they fit somewhere. Like, they're gonna fit somewhere. You know what I mean? So being that person that isn't afraid to be like, look, man, like, you're just not a fit here. But I would be more than happy to give you a good reference, mentor you or help you figure out exactly where that fit is, and be your biggest cheerleader, but it's just not here. It's just not here. And that's okay, man. And it's the same way with customers. Not everyone it has to be your customer. Sometimes a customer doesn't even fit your culture or your business or, whatever it is. And that's okay, man. You don't have to have to rake up every dollar and every customer that's in your space. I mean, there is a such thing as a bad fit for a customer as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Cool. All right. Well, we're
at
our
good. Yeah. We're at our hour, man. That went really fast.
Did we go?
Yeah, this is great, fellas. It's fun to get on here. I mean, I love digging into the personal stuff, the heart of the industry, and going through the hard stuff we all deal with, right? And just being honest about it. Like, there's some tough things, but there's also some really, really big positives. So it's fun to chat with you guys about that stuff today.
Yeah, that's our niche, man.
Yeah,
we found our niche here. That's what we we want to dig into, you can go and do your research about SumoQuote, and you can figure out exactly what SumoQuote is. That's why we really didn't focus too much on what SumoQuote is. We want to know what is behind the scenes, hence behind the tool belt. Like, what is the guy that made SumoQuote? Who's he? What does he like to do? What's going on in your life? You know what I mean? That's the good stuff.
Yeah. So before we go though,
yes,
Chris, do you want to ask him?
Yeah. So I always ask this question, man. If you've watched our show, you probably know what it is. But so you're a successful entrepreneur, man. You probably don't have to work if you don't want to. You're probably, well off enough that, you can collect checks from your things. Seem like you got an awesome team that will run your businesses themselves. You can just sit back if you really want to, probably take vacations with your family and do whatever you got to do. What motivates you and drives you to not only, suit up and show up every day, but to perform at a high level for all of your ventures and everything? What is that motivating factor?
It's a little bit tough to say because it's a bit innate, as I was saying before, kind of thing, right? Like there's just something in you that you can't turn off and you want to be in there doing it. I will say this, like ultimately at the end of the day, if there was anything from the work side that was getting in the way of family's going to trump it. There's no question. Like it's just, there was some hard like family health stuff on my wife's side that was going on during COVID. We picked up the family and moved out to the East Coast. We took the boys out of school. We moved out there for 6 months, to be fully engaged in helping with where we knew we needed to be at that time. And so that stuff's always going to trump it. I loved what Ty sharing earlier about getting married and all that stuff. Like that's the important stuff at the end of the day. And then honestly, the rest of it, to me, it feels not that it's a game, but it's a challenge or it's that thing to overcome. And it's sort of like, what can you create and build and do? We were talking a little bit earlier on, hey, I keep coming back to the plate and swinging. Why do I do that? And I thought about this at the time. I didn't say it, but I've done a lot of long distance running, played a lot of soccer, just a lot of. I did something up in Canada here through university called tree planting, where you're just on the side of the mountain and just like slugging it out through the worst conditions and the hardest stuff. And ultimately, I compare sort of the running and the soccer and all that stuff to entrepreneurship, where it's just like I just know how to suffer. I know how to get in there, turn off that part of my brain of just the pain and hard that you feel and the weight that you carry on that. And it's, I don't know, like why do we keep getting up and doing it? It's the fun of it, the challenge of it, the people that you get to be surrounded by, ultimately never, making sure your values are in check and never sacrificing family and those other big ones. But no, dude, it's just fun. I just really genuinely enjoy it. And I feel very lucky, like the industry that we're in. I love it. Like I love talking to contractors and stuff. So I couldn't imagine having more fun than I'm having right now with work. So I wouldn't want to give that up.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome that you found your thing, man. I always say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So yeah. It sounds like you found that thing that allows you to get up and just, live life. And it just so happens that you get paid to do that shit. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. So,
that was a great answer.
Yeah, it really was.
You know what I mean? I loved how you mentioned the challenge and the pain in exercising, because I thought that I was the only one that used that mentality or that metaphor, I guess, in both circumstances, whether I'm running, right, or working out, or if I'm in business, right? Like I continuously push myself, like one more mile, 50 more feet, right? And I push myself in business as well. I always feel like there's one more layer. There's one more, our biggest thing is that the enemy of great is good, right? And our goal and our achievement is, great, greater, and greatest, right? Like the bottom is great, right? Yeah. Like there's nothing below that. It's either great, greater, or greatest. And it's that continuous push, that thrill of the hunt. When you were speaking, what it is, it's almost like that dopamine shot, that thrill of the hunt. Like, what is today's challenge? Like, challenge accepted, baby. Let's do this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I love that. And again, I know you know that I'm not crazy, and I know you're not crazy. So that's why it's so cool to be around like-minded people like that, and going back into why
Yeah.
this industry is so freaking cool, right? Like, and I don't know who else can have a conversation like this, and like we're all sitting here shaking our heads like,
Mhm.
yeah, man, I get that. And that's the fellowship and the camaraderie and the connection that we just made tonight. So that's freaking awesome.
Yes. Yes. So with that said, thank you guys, all the viewers, TC Backer family, anyone here for SumoQuote, for Ryan. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, 154 episodes deep. We got 2 more weeks and we're going to be at our 3-year mark, which is pretty crazy. If you guys have not done so already, make sure you hop over to our Behind the ToolBelt YouTube page. Please like and subscribe to that. That helps us with the algorithms, so we can hopefully bring you guys better stuff, because the more our message gets out there, the better our message is going to get. So hopefully you can help that organic algorithm. And make sure you guys go over and hop out or check out SumoQuote too, man. Give this guy some love. All of our TC Backer people, go over and hit their Facebook page up, or all their social media stuff, and give them some love. Ryan's a great guy. I'm glad that I got to spend the last hour getting to know you and your business and how you got there, man. And just appreciate everyone for watching, man. And next Wednesday, I think, Ty, you're gonna be remote, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have some good ones. We're gonna have a good one next week.
Really special guests.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good one next week. So make sure you guys tune in for episode 155. That will be next Wednesday, 7 p.m. like it is every other week. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you.